A refrigerator doesn't make cold, it moves heat. Inside the fridge feels cold because heat is leaving the food and air, and that heat ends up in your kitchen, plus a little extra from electricity. That's why the back of a refrigerator feels warm. At its core, a refrigerator is a heat pump. Heat naturally flows from hot to cold. A fridge forces heat to flow from cold to hot, from the chilly interior to the warmer room, and that requires electrical work. The physics can be summarized with one idea. Heat dumped into the room equals heat taken from inside plus electrical work. So the fridge always releases more heat outside than it removes inside. To do this, the refrigerator uses a sealed loop filled with a special fluid called a refrigerant. That refrigerant is pushed through 4 main parts, over and over again. First is the evaporator, the cold coil inside the fridge. Here, the refrigerant is kept at low pressure, which makes its boiling temperature very low. Even below freezing it can boil. When it boils, it absorbs a large amount of energy as latent heat. That energy comes from the food and air inside the fridge, so their temperature drops. Next comes the compressor. This is the part that uses electricity. It squeezes the refrigerant vapor, raising its pressure. When pressure goes up, temperature goes up too. Now the refrigerant is a hot, high-pressure gas. That hot gas flows to the condenser, the coils on the back or bottom of the fridge. Because the refrigerant is hotter than the room, heat flows out into the kitchen air. As it loses heat, the refrigerant condenses back into a liquid. This heat release is why the back of the fridge feels warm. After that, the liquid refrigerant passes through a narrow expansion device. The pressure suddenly drops. At this lower pressure, the refrigerant's boiling temperature is low again, so part of it flashes into vapor and becomes cold. Now it's ready to return to the evaporator and absorb heat from inside the fridge once more. The crucial trick in all of this is pressure. By lowering pressure inside and raising pressure outside, the fridge controls when the refrigerant boils and when it condenses. The cooling doesn't come from expansion by itself. It comes from boiling at low temperature and absorbing latent heat. This cycle runs continuously, controlled by a thermostat. When the inside warms up, the compressor turns on. When it's cold enough, it turns off. One last important point. A refrigerator can remove more heat than the electrical energy it uses. That's because it isn't creating cooling from electricity. It's using electricity to move heat from one place to another. So in one sentence, a refrigerator cools things by making a fluid boil at low pressure inside to absorb heat, compressing that fluid to raise its temperature, dumping the heat outside as it condenses, and repeating the cycle using electrical work.